I'm in Manhattan and I've booked my next flight so that I can potentially see Manhattan. It all depends upon the weather conditions. Today is actually not the greatest day here in New York City, so I don't think that if I were on this route that I would see it, but my flight is not today. I'm flying on Breeze Airways and I'm not flying out of LaGuardia or Kennedy or Newark. I'm flying out of Westchester. Come along with me. Okay, I'm leaving the 5 boroughs of New York City right now, and I'm headed north to the Westchester County Airport. I'm looking up at the sky, and it is scattered conditions, so I'm not 100% sure if I will be able to see New York City, specifically Manhattan, from the airplane, but we'll see. Earlier today, I did see a flight that was actually headed in the same direction off of Westchester County Airport, headed to White Intersection, and I did see it from New York City, so let's see if I can actually see New York today. Hopefully we get really good radar vectors from the departure controller. I am super excited about that, and I'm super excited about flying Breeze. Now, my flight today is going to be in the nice cabin of the Airbus A220-300 series. That's further back. I'm actually sitting in the very rear section of the aircraft, and I've strategically chosen a seat on the left-hand side of the airplane because I'm expecting radar vectors to the White Intersection after flying through the same airspace that LaGuardia departures fly through. This is exciting. Now, this isn't the first time Breeze is being featured on this channel. You're looking at footage from May 25th, 2024 of a Breeze flight on the same route that I'm going to take today, Westchester to Vero Beach. Oh, that's a nice view of LaGuardia down there. This video featured the A220-300, just like the aircraft that I'll be taking today, but I didn't fly on that flight. The passenger on board that flight was my dad, and we worked collaboratively to bring you a video about air traffic and a full review of the airline at the end. Make sure you check out that video. For now, it's my turn to fly Breeze. At the time of filming this, Breeze had limited service from HPN after introducing a bunch of destinations, including LAX, but more destinations are being added at the end of June. Why am I trying Breeze? I have some of the most unusual reasons for picking airlines, and the fact that Westchester departures to Florida climb to the south near New York City is a major reason why. I also like the large windows of the A220s and thought it would be nice to try an airline after getting positive reviews from my dad. Am I still going to be flying Delta? Of course. I'm nearly a million miler with Delta, and that gives me incentive to fly them, but sometimes I like to change things up.
In 2 miles, take exit 2 towards Westchester County Airport and NY 120.
We're almost there, and I'm looking ahead for departures off of runway 34 today, which is the runway we should be using later if the winds keep up in the same direction. There goes one now, a regional jet on the standard climb that will fly later. I'm looking out for the approach light system to runway 16 here. There it is. We'll be flying over that as we climb soon. And just beyond it is a permanent Lockheed T-33 on display. We're now on the terminal side of the airport and are heading toward the terminal. On the right side, we pass by facilities for corporate and general aviation aircraft. There are more corporate and GA operations here than airline traffic. Let's get out of the car as the terminal is up ahead. Okay, I've arrived at the Westchester County Airport. An aircraft has just landed on runway 34, which means that aircraft will be landing and taking off towards the northwest today. That's the airfield behind me. That is actually not the control tower. That's an old tower that's not in operation anymore. From the top of the parking lot, there's a nice view of a GA ramp on the other side, and here comes an Italian Technam Traveler. That's pretty rare. For now, let's head into the airline terminal building. All right, I've arrived inside the terminal. I'm about 2 hours before my departure time. Very, very early. I'm going to go check in. The bag claim is on the left side, and the airline check-in desks are on the right side. At the time of filming this, the airlines at HPN are American, Bermudair, Breeze, Cape Air, Delta, JetBlue, and JSX. Breeze is tucked away in a corner, and I need to drop off one checked bag. Today, I have a nice class seat, which means I had to pay a la carte to check a bag. Okay, I've checked one bag, and here at the Westchester County Airport, after checking the bag at the gate counter, you have to go behind to drop off the bag in that specific area. The bag drop is over there on the right side. Of course, since there's an observation lounge at this airport, that has to be my next stop, so I worked my way to the top floor for a room with a view. For me, this is better than any airline club. The lounge provides a great midfield view of the operation. From up here, you'll see many corporate jets like this Cessna Citation, and I was lucky enough to catch a county vehicle doing a surface check of the main runway, and even luckier to see a second Technam Traveler headed to Lebanon, New Hampshire, taking off on runway 34. I'm so happy Westchester County provides this viewing spot. Out in the distance is a Boeing business jet, and that plane has a neat tail design. What a nice Pilatus landing on runway 34 out there, touching down right near the intersection of the crosswind runway, and here comes an Endeavour Air CRJ 900 operating as Delta connection for Delta Airlines. I've been on quite a few of those. I'll use this flight to show you how this runway is operating today. Once it slows down, it vacates the runway to the right and takes parallel taxiway Alpha to the ramp, which is located just below this viewpoint. Taxiway Alpha is the entrance to the ramp itself, too. Here's the same process with an arriving JetBlue A320. It's a quick trip from the runway to the gate, since this is a tight and consolidated airport, but it's a diverse airport, with flights like this ExoJet plane coming in from Palm Beach. When the runway is clear of arrivals, the tower can get departures off of it, like this G650. This is what we'll do later. Well, I found the absolute perfect place to wait before your flight. There's a holding area downstairs. It's crowded, full of people. There's absolutely nobody up here in the observation deck here at HPN at the Westchester County Airport. I'm getting a great view of what's going on the air side, and I've got a great view of the departure and arrival runway from up here. I'm so excited about my flight, though, coming up on Breeze to Vero Beach. Now, if you take a look at the clouds in the sky, they seem to actually be moving away, so hopefully I can get those great views. It will be a little bit darker by the time I take off, but if everything works out, when departure control gives us radar vectors to the white intersection, if we get the right vector, we'll be over New Jersey as opposed to flying right over Manhattan or straight down the Hudson River to get those Manhattan views. We'll see what happens. If it doesn't work out, I'll just have to take another flight to the white intersection, and that means basically any flight going down to Florida on an airline here out of the Westchester County Airport. Now, I'm flying on Breeze today, the new airline founded by David Neeleman, who also founded JetBlue, among many other airlines. I'm super excited about it. Breeze has 3 classes of service: nice, nicer, and nicest. I am flying in the nice section at the rear of the aircraft on the left-hand side of the airplane for that Manhattan view. I am flying Breeze because it's getting me closer to the destination in Florida that I need to be at. Delta simply does not provide service to the Vero Beach Airport. I will be flying Delta more in the future. I do need to get to million miler status so I can get gold status for life on Delta, and that's going to take another 50,000 miles, and I've got a couple of years to actually get to that point. So I'm kind of like in a little area right now where I'm not sure what airline to fly. Do I go for convenience or do I go for the million miler status? I think I'm going to balance it out a little bit. But no matter what, I always focus on the view out the window, whether it's LaGuardia or Kennedy. And because my flights to Florida fly to the white intersection, both airports can potentially provide really, really good New York City views. The white intersection is utilized by both LaGuardia Airport and Westchester County Airport for flights headed down to the south towards Florida. So no matter what the departure airport is, you can still get those great views, although they will be from a higher altitude leaving HPN. Here's the departure board. I'm on Breeze, flight 599 to Vero Beach, which is showing on time. The plane is now inbound from Vero Beach. Time for one last look out the window from up here at an arrival and the actual control tower that will issue us takeoff clearance later on. Let's head on down to the gate area. One moment as I head through TSA. I'm definitely happy that I waited upstairs. It's crowded down here. I'm in a holding room and signs depict which way to go to get to your gate. Right up there behind me is the observation deck where I just came from. That is the best place to stay at this airport waiting for your flight. I have to say that I really liked it up there. Plus, there's no good view out the windows down here. Okay, my aircraft is inbound to HPN right now. It's operating as flight 598 right now, but when I get on it, it'll be flight 599. Breeze uses the call sign MOXY, M-O-X-Y, to identify themselves to air traffic control. MOXY was the name originally planned for Breeze.
15 minutes to gate 3.
So there's a lot of announcements here. There's not a lot of flights, but whenever there is a flight, someone comes onto the speaker system to announce which gate to go to. Right now, I'm just in the general holding area. Okay, the plane is supposed to land in a moment or two. This is the only spot that I could find where I can see the action on the ramp. And here's MOXY 598 before it becomes MOXY 599. Today, we'll be leaving from Gate 2. Moxie, here I come. It's a limited view of November 226 Bravo Zulu, my A220-300, which entered service in November of 2023. It's such a new plane. Let's get closer by heading to the gate area. What a gorgeous plane this A220-300 is, and Breeze's paint scheme is magnificent. Here I finally found a nice place to look out the window. So, just as we're about to board, I just found out that our initial fix has changed to Biggy. So, what does Biggy mean for me as a passenger on the left-hand side of the plane? Well, we still will see Manhattan, but it will be at a distance because Biggy is located further west than White Intersection. This is a last-minute change. I wasn't expecting it, and it doesn't happen very often, so we'll see. It's boarding time now, and excitement is high because I'm boarding an A220. Okay, I'm on the jet bridge headed over to my Moxie. What a great bird. It's time to step aboard from the jet bridge to the jet itself. This plane has Wi-Fi. The first seats that I pass by are the nicest seats, the big seats up front. Nice is followed by nicer. These are seats that have extra legroom. It's the equivalent of Comfort Plus on Delta. The plane is so crisp looking and puts me in a good mood. What a beautiful airplane inside. And these are the nice seats. They're just fine for me and nice. There are 2 seats on one side and 3 on the other, but I'm just noticing the size of the windows. They're huge, and this makes the entire airplane the nicest plane out there. Okay, I'm on the A220. Love the big windows here. With the large windows, I didn't even notice my seat and was drawn to the outside to spot 2 high-altitude planes up there, one from Atlanta to Frankfurt and the other from Munich to Dulles. And that's a beautiful CRJ 700 at the gate next door. There goes an A319 up there from Boston to LaGuardia, flying right over HPN at 4,000 feet. The window, perfection. I almost failed to notice the seat in front of me. There are holders for the safety card and menu, a power charger, and a stand that comes out to place your phone on. Like any seat, there's a tray table, and just below that is a pocket for more storage. The legroom was just fine for me. I'm not picky at all. I just want to see out those large windows, and out there, someone's already removing some cones to help get this plane underway. My window is well aligned with my seat, and I'm happy. They've actually moved a few people up for weight and balance. This is not a full flight. I like my seat back here.
This aircraft does offer Breeze on board, which is their Wi-Fi. This is the perfect opportunity for you to download, for you to watch, get connected and watch anything that you like to watch on board. At this time, we do need everybody seated with their seatbelts on, tray tables up, and seats in the upright and stood positions. Thank you.
Non-stop service to Vero Beach. Flight attendant just advised me that's in Florida. I'm a Captain Greg, assisted by First Officer Lachlan. Today we'll be cruising at an altitude of 38,000 feet. That's kind of way up there in the sky, just a few feet higher than if you're driving in your car.
Please take your seat, fasten your seatbelt, open your window shades, stow your tray table and carry-on items, and lower your armrests.
Finally, open your window shades. I love that announcement. The time has come for us to push back, and since we need to push back onto an active taxiway, our pilot calls ground control for permission using call sign Moxie 599.
Ground Moxie 599, we're gate 2, and requesting pushback. We have Kilo.
Moxie 599, Westchester ground, push on Alpha, approved, Kilo is correct.
Copy Kilo, Moxie 599.
We pushed back so quickly I missed it, and within seconds, we were blocking taxiway Alpha in the pushback position. Looking out the window, I could see how quickly the pushback process at HPN occurs as the CRJ 700 next to us pushed back. But we were first, and once our tug was removed, we called ground control for taxi clearance to runway 34.
Ground Moxie 599, taxi Woodkill.
Moxie 599, runway 34, taxi V Alpha, cross runway 29.
34, taxi V Alpha, cross 29, Moxie 599.
We're already on taxiway Alpha, so we just need to line up with its center line and take it along to runway 34. Along the way, we'll need to cross the small crosswind runway, runway 1129er, and the controller has already cleared us across it since there's no planned arrival or departure traffic on it. Runway 1129er is a short runway at just 4,451 feet and is used for smaller aircraft. We're passing by the end of the small terminal that we left from, and we'll pass a series of hangars before we cross runway 1129. The ground controller hands us off to the tower controller, also known as the runway or local controller, who's handling the runways today. Only the big runway, runway 34, is in use, and the controller is handling arriving flights while fitting in departing flights like ours between them. We can only enter the runway for takeoff if there's no plane on final approach that's too close in. The plane that will land after us is calling the tower now.
Tower, good evening. Centurion 761 Mike on right base for 34.
Centurion 761 Lima Mike, Westchester Tower. Continue.
Continuing 1 Lima Mike.
That plane is coming in via a right-hand turn to runway 34, and the tower told them to just continue. We're waiting for another airplane on final approach to land before we can enter the runway, and the tower will inform the Centurion of this situation.
Centurion 761 Lima Mike, 1 departure prior to your arrival. Number 2, follow citation, short final. Wind 030 at 11, runway 34, clear to land.
All right, we're cleared to land. Number 2 to the airport on 34 landing 1 Lima.
Now, that plane that was on final has landed. The tower tells that plane to clear the runway at Charlie and to contact ground control, and the Centurion on final is told to square off the final to accommodate us.
Number 4, Quebec Sierra, signature west.
Yeah, we're going to customs.
Number 4, Quebec Sierra, turn left to Charlie, contact ground.
Charlie's ground for Quebec Sierra.
Number 1, Lima Mike, just keep your base turn to final square, please, to accommodate a departure.
Okay, and we're slowing 1 Lima.
And without being told to line up, we're given takeoff clearance on runway 34 with that Centurion on a 3-mile final.
Moxie 599, Westchester Tower, traffic Centurion, 3-mile base, runway 34, clear for takeoff.
34, clear for takeoff.
At this point, we may now enter the runway, apply power, and take off. Even though I'm on this side of the plane, I wasn't able to see the aircraft on approach, but we moved quickly enough onto the runway to take off before that plane landed. The runway is all ours, all 6,549 feet of it. Our 2 Pratt & Whitney 1500G engines will power us to the northwest in a moment. Let's talk about our airborne plan. The runway heading is 340 degrees or northwest, and once we reach 1,000 feet, the departure procedure has us turn 48 degrees to the left to a heading of 295 degrees. Our initial assigned altitude is 3,000 feet, and we will wait for the controller to assign us a new heading and altitude to get us toward Biggy, which is by the Delaware River at Stockton, New Jersey, southwest of the New York City area. Now, the departure controller that we'll be talking to after takeoff is located at the New York TRACON in Long Island and is handling traffic in the airspace north of LaGuardia around Westchester County Airport. So when our flight, Moxie 599, checks in, the controller is busy and will issue a command immediately to Spirit Airlines. Spirit does not fly to Westchester County Airport. That flight is actually headed to LaGuardia and is in the Westchester County Airport airspace. After talking to the Spirit flight, the controller will tell us to climb to 7,000 feet. But first, the tower controller has to tell us to contact New York Departure Control while we make our left turn to 295 degrees.
Moxie 599, contact New York Departure in the left turn.
Moxie 599.
Ah, what a thrill it is to be flying in this brand new Breeze A220-300. As we look at Rye Lake, we're in the position that CRJ was in that we saw when we were driving into the airport. Way in the distance is New York City. Try to keep it in sight as we climb. Let's say hello to the departure controller who is physically behind us in Long Island.
Departure 0, Moxie 599, 2.1, climb 3,000 on left turn.
Fairwing 3929, turn left direct. Yeoman, intercept the localize.
Yeoman, intercept the localize, bearing 3929.
Moxie 599, your departure radar, contact, climb maintain 7,000.
7,000, Moxie 599.
As we climb to 7,000 feet, we can see the skyscrapers of Manhattan in the distance, and the controller is ready to have us turn further to the left.
Moxie 599, turn left heading 260.
Heading 260, Moxie 599.
The 260-degree heading sends us westbound, and typically if we were to fly to White Intersection, which is over Pine Lake Park, New Jersey, we'd soon be told to turn further to the left between a 220 and 240-degree heading, which would bring us down the Hudson River, hopefully on the Jersey side, but that's just not happening today. 260 degrees brings us toward Biggy at Stockton, New Jersey. Down below, we see the city of White Plains, and in the distance is the Long Island Sound and Long Island. Flying this way means we need to switch to another frequency within the New York TRACON, used primarily for departures from LaGuardia. This airspace is so busy, we need to talk to many departure controllers before reaching the high-altitude airspace. It's now time for the handoff to today's second departure controller.
Moxie 599, contact departure 120.4.
204, Moxie 599.
Let's switch on over to 120.4 and check in with our current and assigned altitudes.
Westchester County, Moxie 599, heading 260, 5.3, climbing 7,000.
Moxie 599, flighting 250, climb and maintain 15,000.
250 and 15,000, Moxie 599.
We're issued a slight turn to the left, again to help us get towards Biggy, and are told to climb to 15,000 feet, which is 1,000 feet below flights arriving to JFK from the west at 16,000 feet. Those JFK arrivals are talking to a separate approach controller. Now, listen to this transmission for another flight on this frequency to demonstrate what kind of airspace we're in now.
New York departure Delta 1438, out of 1,000, climb at 5,000. Delta 1438, New York departure, radar contact, climb and maintain 900,000. Climb and maintain 900,000, Delta 1438.
Delta Flight 1438 just took off from LaGuardia and is headed to Orlando, and we're occupying the same control zone as this flight, as we're now south of Westchester and closer to LaGuardia flights that are climbing. We're crossing the Hudson River, and the land on the left side is Westchester County, which leads to the Bronx and then LaGuardia Airport. I'm highly interested in seeing Manhattan, and if we were to head to White, we would have turned to the left by this point and hopefully would have paralleled the Hudson River on the right or New Jersey side for that spectacular Manhattan view. We see Manhattan, but we just won't be getting as close as I wanted or had anticipated. Even though we've not been given clearance to proceed to Biggy, we're basically heading right toward it. So this is the heading we'll be on for a while over the state of New Jersey. The LaGuardia controller typically doesn't issue clearance to the initial departure fix because we're still in crowded airspace and vectoring around traffic may be necessary. We'll get clearance to Biggy later on. What we're looking at here is Manhattan along the Hudson River, and this is the best I could do with the photography. It's dark out, and we're moving toward the west, which is away from Manhattan. You can see the Empire State Building in orange lights. The orange lights were in honor of the WNBA draft that night. The colors change regularly, representing various events. With the camera fully zoomed out, we can actually see every borough of New York City with the Atlantic Ocean in the distance. And from this angle, you can clearly see how we're headed inland, which is where Biggy is. The reason why we're headed to Biggy is because Biggy will allow for a slightly inland route tonight as opposed to heading to White, which is more coastal and more direct. Unfortunately, weather systems that developed along the normal coastal route after White drove our flight plan further to the west. We're leaving the LaGuardia control zone and need to switch frequencies to another frequency still within the New York TRACON on Long Island. It's a higher altitude zone used by many LaGuardia and Newark departures, but still below the center airspace at 18,000 feet. Let's get the handoff.
Moxie 599, contact departure 120.85.
2085, Moxie 599.
We're about to check in, and as soon as we do so, the controller sees that no more vectoring is needed, and we can alas proceed directly to Biggy.
Canadian Moxie 599, 12.5, climbing 15,000.
Moxie 599, direct Biggy.
Direct Biggy, Moxie 599.
Okay, we can now head to Biggy and then proceed on course with our slightly inland route to Vero Beach this evening. We're heading to Biggy, but the turn to Biggy really isn't noticeable since our last assigned heading practically pointed us right toward Biggy. It's on this frequency where controllers provide clearance to flights' initial departure fixes on the west side of the New York City area airports. Here's another flight getting cleared to Park intersection, and some other transmissions.
Breakout 3471, direct Park.
Direct Park, Breakout 3471.
Endeavor 4990, maintain 17,000 if I didn't give it to you, 17.
17.
Endeavor 5323, center 346, good night.
346, good night, 5326.
I'm going to let you listen into some of the transmissions to other airplanes on this frequency as I, as a passenger, get my final views of Manhattan. The last transmission in this series is to us, where the controller tells us to climb to 17,000 feet, keeping us within the TRACON's airspace just below the en route center airspace.
And departure, good evening, United 2038, we're checking in 7.2 for 1010,000.
United 2338, correct, United 2038, direct Newell, maintain 17,000.
Okay, climb and maintain 17,000 direct Newell, United 2038.
JetBlue 1211, center 34.6, good night.
34.6, JetBlue 1211.
Endeavor 5144, center 134.6, take care.
3416, Endeavor 5144.
34.6.
346, Endeavor 5144.
Endeavor 4990, 270 knots or less. New York Center 134.6. Good night.
270 or less and 34.6. Good night.
Moxie 599, maintain 17,000.
17,000, Moxie 599.
That's Newark Airport down there. Some of the flights that we hear on this frequency took off from Newark. Once we leave this controller's airspace, we're told to switch over to the New York Center, another air traffic control facility out on Long Island, controlling high-altitude en route flights. This will be the last ATC transmission on the departure side of this video. I'll resume ATC once we've descended in Florida.
Moxie 599, New York Center 134.6. Good night.
34.6, Moxie 599.
We're leaving the New York City area now and heading towards Biggy. It was a breeze. And yes, I almost had to remind myself I was on a new airline. Those huge windows just encouraged me to look out, but I'll take a few moments to see what's going on inside this beautifully lit interior. My nice category seat has a place for literature at the top, an electrical port at the left, and now I'll demonstrate how the holder for your phone or other personal devices folds down. And just below that, this is how the tray table folds down. I didn't order any food, but this is an in-flight menu, and here's what you can order from the friendly flight attendants. Service will begin soon. The cabin lights are on because service is coming around right now. This is making it difficult to see out the window because we're coming up on Philadelphia and I really want to see it. That's the city of brotherly love down there, and with the lights on, it can be hard to film out the window at night due to reflection, but the flight attendants do need to see to complete their service. By the way, this Philly view was only made possible because we flew to Biggy. If we flew a more eastern route via the White intersection, this would not be possible to see. I didn't order anything from the flight attendants, but I took a look at this A220 safety card. It was simple and easy to follow along. I took a trip to a rear lavatory for a quick break. It was standard, and the only thing I could think about is that on Delta, the rear lavatory on A220s is in a different position and has a window in it. This one doesn't, but it's not a biggie. Did I just say Biggy after flying to Biggy? It's time to head back to my seat on the couple seat side, the left side, which I chose for the view, not just because there are 2 seats as opposed to 3 on the right. So overall, it's a really great experience on Breeze. The flight attendants are very, very friendly. The pilots are super informative, very, very nice. I'm enjoying it a lot. Meal service is going to come by in a few moments. I'm not going to buy anything because I spent quite a bit of money in the Westchester County Airport on snacks there. There's just a few snacks that are offered on the menu, so there's really no point for me to buy anything here. I also purchased a bottle of water in the airport, so no need for me to really get anything here. Eating on a plane is overrated, so I spent my time looking down at the Baltimore area down below. That was followed by flying right over Washington, D.C. That's the Potomac River down there, and I'm zooming in to see a plane on final approach up the river to runway 1. Just past D.C., I spotted an Air France 777 from Atlanta to Paris zooming past us. Don't forget to check out my video where I fly on that exact route on an Air France A350. Later on, I got to see Greensboro, North Carolina from our cruising altitude. The cabin was very pleasant for the en route phase of flight, and eventually the lights were set at a level that did not provide much glare on the windows. Above the seats were standard air ducts and reading lights, which I'll never turn on during a night flight so I can see out. Here's a close-up of the power outlets on the seatback. Remaining inland offered a nice view of Sumter, South Carolina, and if you look carefully at the top of the screen, you can see an opposite direction Envoy Embraer 175 flying from Miami to Greensboro. We're getting closer to the ocean now. That's Charleston, South Carolina down there. And in the middle of the screen, we see Hilton Head Island. Okay, we just passed the Savannah area and we'll be flying over the water for the remainder of this flight, but very, very close to the shoreline. Biggy is the reason why we are where we are, but we avoided some bad weather tonight, which is a good thing. We've begun our descent, and I'm struggling to look out the window and film. That's Merritt Island down there, but unfortunately, the lights are on, so it's really hard to take pictures. We've now descended significantly in the center airspace, and it's time to check in with Palm Beach Approach Control.
Palm Beach approach, Moxie 599, 8.8 descending to 6,000.
Moxie 599, Palm Beach Approach, roger. Vero Beach altimeter was 3011, and advise which runway you prefer.
3011, we'd like runway 12 right, Moxie 599.
Moxie 599, roger, plan for 12 right.
Moxie 599.
I'll speed up the ATC part here. The next transmission to us is to descend to 2,000 feet and turn left to 160 degrees.
Moxie 599, descend and maintain 2,000, turn left heading of 160.
2,000 left 160, Moxie 599.
Next up, closer to the airport, we're told to turn left and need to cancel our flight plan with the approach controller since the tower is closed at the airport. We'll have to self-announce our position on a Unicom frequency when we land.
2599, left turn heading 150, intercept on approach close, advise airport in sight.
150, intercept course via the airport, Max
2599, you're clear for the visual approach into Vero Beach Airport, advise alpha cancellation as soon as you can on this frequency. Mach 599, then alpha cancellation is received, block VFR, please change approved.
Let's check in on the frequency so that all the other pilots can hear us for situational awareness.
And all the traffic, Vero Beach CTAF, it's Foxy 599, to turn on to the RNAV to runway 12 right, and presently about 13 miles out to the north.
This is the first time I'm bringing a Unicom to my channel. The airport does indeed have a functional air traffic control tower, but after a certain time, the tower closes, the controller goes home, and pilots self-announce their position. So when we checked in with our position, no one responded to us with what we'd normally hear, like a landing clearance. Instead, all pilots are carefully listening into the frequency and will comment if there is any conflict, but there is no conflict as the flights on approach are not going to the same runway as ours, runway 12 right. Let's listen in to some of the other pilots on the frequency who are talking but have no effect on our flight.
Vero traffic Cherokee 8091 Romeo, turn left downwind for runway 12 left. Vero traffic.
Vero traffic, Skyline 433, clear runway 4, Vero traffic.
Two pilots, two different runways. We just continue along straight with the runway directly in front of us. When a pilot initiates something like a turn on the traffic pattern, they announce it to all on the frequency so that everyone is situationally aware. Our flight is headed straight in toward our runway, so our pilot will periodically report on the frequency how many miles from touchdown the aircraft is so that everyone else knows where we are. We're the big boy tonight at Vero Beach, and all of the other aircraft on the frequency are small, general aviation aircraft. We're now on a 10-mile final, so our pilot is going to announce that to everybody on the frequency.
Vero Beach traffic, Foxy 599, we're now on about a 10-mile final straight in runway 12 right.
No response or comment from anyone since there's no conflict. I'm speeding this up 5 miles until we report that we're 5 miles from touchdown.
All traffic, Vero Beach, Foxy 599, we're now on a 5-mile final 12 right.
We're almost there, just 5 miles to go. The flight deck has made final adjustments for landing, and there are no traffic conflicts. Once we land, the plan is to vacate the runway to the right, announcing the taxiways we'll take, and go directly to the small airline terminal, which only serves one airline, Breeze. I really enjoyed my flight on Breeze, and the best benefit was flying on a brand new A220-300 with really large windows. It's an asset to just have two seats on one side of the plane, the left side, and as I chose my seats based on the view, it worked out well to be on the side of the plane that I wanted to be on and have less passenger density at the same time. You'll notice that I don't focus too heavily on what's inside, although this being a new plane, it sure was beautiful. I tend to focus more on the context in which a flight operates, thus equalizing all the airlines. For me, it's about the flight, and I don't regret not trying the food. I think most experiences on carriers are very, very similar, and I won't take a flight for an extra legroom seat or to try their cuisine. I'm among the few who was the most impressed with the announcement that the flight attendants made before takeoff to tell passengers to keep the window shades up during takeoff. I've never heard that in the USA, and I love it. To experience the joy of flight is to take any airline. Pick what works best for you. Whether it's price or something else, once a plane enters the national airspace system, everyone is treated with equality, whether you have a nice, nicer, or nicest seat. This channel is about flying, and if it's your first time here, you'll notice a unique perspective on the flight. I often repeat flights and routes, and this time I tried a new carrier, but I approached it from a very unique perspective. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this, including how I can make a routine and usual route anything but routine, I invite you to click on the subscribe button so you don't miss out on what's to come. For the remainder of this flight, I'm going to let you listen in to the sound of the engines from behind the wing, and do take note that families with children do sit for free in the rear section of the aircraft, so you may hear some children in the background. Enjoy the landing.
Vero traffic, Cherokee 0901 Romeo left downwind for 1 to left. Vero traffic.
Welcome to the Vero Beach Airport. Our pilot is going to make his final announcement indicating which taxiways he's going to take to get to the terminal, and then you'll hear the flight attendant give the welcome announcement.
All traffic, Vero Beach, Boxy 599. We're now clear of runway 12 right, and we're currently on Charlie 2, and then we're taxiing Charlie to the terminal.
Welcome to Vero Beach. The time is approximately 10:30 p.m. Seatbelt sign is on. Please remain seated until the seatbelt sign is turned off. And keep the all clear of carrying items. You're now free to use your mobile phone. We ask that you use caution when opening overhead compartments, as items may have shifted in flight. I'd like to thank you for calling with Breeze Airways today. We enjoyed having you on our flight. Hope to see you again soon. If you're home, welcome home. And if you're visiting, we hope you enjoy your stay.
Well, welcome to the terminal here at VRB. All right, that was an absolutely great flight here on Breeze. All right, I'm getting off of this beautiful A220. Open air deplaning doesn't get any better than this. This is the outdoor baggage claim area here at the Vero Beach Airport. It's great. That's it. You just pick up your bag there and leave. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me on this flight from HPN to VRB on Breeze. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, I invite you to click on the subscribe button, hit the bell button, and rest assured, I'll be back again with many more videos like this in the future. See you soon, everyone.